Groom discovers bride's shocking betrayal, then turned the wedding into revenge. Hello besties, welcome to Emma's Tales. Please subscribe and leave a like for us, it means the world to us. Also, share this video with your loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you. As you do so, sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The room was so silent he could hear the blood pounding in his ears. Adam's hands tightened around the small square of paper that held his vows, but he wasn't reading the words. He was staring at her. Lily stood across from him, beaming, radiant in a dress that looked like it had been spun out of light. Her veil caught the faint breeze from the church doors behind them, lifting slightly, as if the universe itself was applauding the beauty of this moment. But Adam didn't feel awe. He felt hollow. The pastor's voice droned softly in the background, but Adam could barely make out the words. "Do you take this woman?" The phrase twisted like a knife in his chest. He could see her lips curve upwards, see the way her fingers trembled lightly as she held her bouquet, see the nervous flutter of her eyelashes as she glanced up at him and quickly away. To everyone watching, she was the perfect bride, a woman flushed with love, maybe a little shy, maybe a little overwhelmed by the attention. But Adam knew better. He knew who she really was. He shifted his weight, forcing himself to keep his breathing even. The room smelled like flowers, peonies her favorite, but the scent was cloying, choking. He felt like he couldn't get enough air. Rows of guests filled the pews of the small church, everyone dressed in bright colors, smiling, leaning forward to capture photos on their phones. They'd been waiting for this day for months. They believed they were witnessing a storybook love, a union that had weathered challenges and emerged stronger. They had no idea they were sitting inside the final act of a carefully staged play. Adam's jaw tightened as his eyes darted briefly to Lily's maid of honor, her best friend Natalie, standing a few feet away. She was grinning too, holding Lily's train in her hands, unaware, or pretending not to notice, the tension that hung in the air. The groomsman shifted awkwardly at Adam's side, probably thinking he was just nervous, like any other groom. But nervous wasn't the word. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. It was rage, cold and steady, fused with a grief so deep it threatened to split him open. He had spent the last 3 days balancing on a knife's edge, holding in the truth, rehearsing this very moment in his mind over and over until the words were etched into his bones. He couldn't believe she was still capable of smiling. Adam forced himself to glance down at his vows. His handwriting blurred. He didn't need to read them. He already knew he wouldn't be saying them. The paper trembled between his fingers, though no one could see it except Lily. She tilted her head slightly, the faintest question flickering across her features before she smoothed it away. She was so good at that, hiding. The pastor called Lily's name, and she stepped forward gracefully, lifting her chin. Her voice rang out, clear and soft, as she recited her vows. Every word was like acid in Adam's ears, promises of loyalty, of faithfulness, of loving him for the rest of her life. She said them without a hitch, without a single waver in her tone. When she spoke his name, she smiled at him with wide, trusting eyes, the exact same smile she'd worn the night he'd slipped the ring on her finger. Adam's stomach turned. He thought of the phone he'd held in his hands just days ago. How he'd stared at the glowing screen in the middle of the night, unable to blink, reading the messages again and again because his brain refused to accept the truth. He remembered the pit in his stomach when he realized it wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't an accidental text. There had been photos. Words no man ever wanted to read. A guest cleared their throat somewhere in the back row, snapping Adam back to the present. He flexed his fingers, crumpling the paper slightly. He forced his expression to remain neutral as Lily slipped the ring onto his finger, her hands brushing his briefly. He wondered if she could feel it, the way his pulse was racing beneath his skin. She looked up at him with such sincerity that for a brief second he almost faltered. But then he remembered the other man's name, the whispers in the hallway when she thought she was alone. The way she'd laughed, light and careless, into the phone as she told Adam she was working late, when in reality she was with him. Adam swallowed hard. The memory was so sharp it felt like glass in his throat. He would not falter now. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The pastor turned to him. And now, Adam, your vows. The room seemed to narrow, the edges of his vision darkening until all he could see was Lily. She tilted her head slightly, her smile bright and expectant. He didn't smile back. The microphone was placed into his hands. It felt heavy, far too heavy for such a small object. He took a slow breath, steadying himself, and for the first time all morning, he allowed a faint smile to touch his lips. Lily's expression flickered. She didn't understand that smile. Good, Adam thought. He opened his mouth to speak. The silence was palpable, hanging over the congregation like a storm cloud. Adam could feel dozens of eyes fixed on him. He could hear the rustle of fabric as guests shifted in their seats, waiting for his words of devotion, his public declaration of love. But those words weren't coming. His gaze held Lily's unwavering, and for the first time since this day began, he felt something close to control. He could see her swallow nervously, her fingers tightening around her bouquet. Before I begin, he said, his voice even, there's something I need to tell everyone here. The words rolled off his tongue with a calmness that surprised even him. He saw Lily's shoulders tense, saw her smile falter just slightly, but she quickly plastered it back in place. I want you all to know, Adam continued, that I've been looking forward to this day for as long as I can remember. I thought it would be the happiest day of my life. His voice cracked ever so slightly on the last word, but he pushed through it, refusing to look away from her. Lily's lips parted.
Adam,
she whispered, just loud enough for him to hear. He ignored her. And it would have been, he said softly. It should have been. But 3 days ago, I found out something that changed everything for me. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The crowd murmured, confused. Adam could feel the shift in the room, could hear the uncertainty ripple through the guests. He saw Lily's knuckles turn white as she gripped her bouquet. I can't stand here, he continued, and pretend I don't know what I know. I can't look at my family, or hers, and lie to their faces. Because this, he gestured vaguely around the room, this is supposed to be real. It's supposed to mean something. Adam, Lily hissed under her breath, her eyes wide. What are you doing? He finally smiled at her, and it wasn't the smile of the man who had once adored her. It was the smile of someone who knew the truth, who had stopped pretending. What I should have done the second I found out, he said quietly. And then he lowered the microphone slightly, just for a moment, letting the silence deepen, letting the anticipation curl tighter and tighter around every person in that room. Adam's heart was hammering so hard it felt like it would tear out of his chest, but he didn't care. He wanted her to feel even a fraction of the pain he had felt. He wanted her to understand that the perfect facade she had worked so hard to maintain was seconds away from collapsing. He could see her breathing quicken, could see the faint sheen of sweat appear on her forehead beneath the veil. Do you remember, he said suddenly, his voice cutting through the quiet like a blade, what you told me last week? That you loved me? That there was no one else? Lily's lips trembled. Adam, please. I believed you, he interrupted, his voice rising slightly. I believed every word. Until I saw the messages. Until I saw the photos. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lily shook her head frantically, the bouquet trembling in her hands. That's not. Don't lie, Adam said sharply, and his voice carried enough authority that even the pastor flinched. The weight of the truth hung in the air, pressing down on everyone. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Adam took a step closer to her, his voice low now, but no less cutting. I know, Lily. I know everything. She stared at him, her face pale as the dress she wore, and for the first time, Adam saw fear in her eyes. And then, slowly, he lifted the microphone back to his lips. He didn't rush the words. He wanted each one to land like a hammer blow. I was going to stand here today and promise to love you for the rest of my life, he said. But how can I promise that to someone who's been sleeping with another man behind my back? The church erupted into a collective gasp. Lily's bouquet slipped from her hands and hit the floor with a dull thud. Adam, she cried, her voice cracking. Stop. But Adam didn't stop. He couldn't. I know about him, he said simply. I know about all of it. And I'm not going to stand here and let you make a fool of me in front of everyone I care about. Tears filled Lily's eyes, but Adam didn't look away. He could hear the whispers now, the murmurs spreading like wildfire through the guests. Faces turned toward Lily, shocked and questioning, and Adam felt a strange sense of release as the truth finally stepped into the light. And then, just as Lily opened her mouth to plead with him again, Adam did something that made her blood run cold. He smiled. Not the soft smile of the man who once believed in her, but the smile of someone who was about to change everything. A week before the wedding, Adam had woken up earlier than usual, restless with excitement. He lay there for a few minutes, staring at the ceiling, listening to Lily's soft breathing beside him. She was curled on her side, her hair spilling across the pillow, the sheet tucked under her chin like a child. He smiled at the sight, his chest full. In less than 7 days, she would be his wife. He had never imagined he could be this happy. He wanted the world to see how lucky he was, wanted everyone to know that Lily had chosen him. They'd spent months planning this wedding, agonizing over flowers and music and menus, and it was finally about to happen. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Adam shifted carefully, not wanting to wake her, and slipped out of bed. He padded into the kitchen barefoot, made coffee, and opened his laptop. There were still 100 little details to finalize: the seating chart, the DJ's playlist, the personalized thank you notes for the guests. He didn't mind. He wanted it to be perfect, not just for Lily, but for both of them. She deserved that. An hour later, Lily joined him in the kitchen, bleary-eyed, wearing one of his t-shirts. She kissed his cheek and wrapped her arms around his waist. "You're up early," she mumbled. "Couldn't sleep," Adam said with a grin. "Too much to think about." She rested her chin on his shoulder. "Like what?" "Like how I get to marry you in a week," he said, turning to kiss her forehead. Her smile was warm, but fleeting. She pulled away to make herself tea, and Adam thought nothing of it. Lily had always been a little private, a little hard to read. He chalked it up to pre-wedding stress. That was the thing about Adam, he trusted her. Completely. The next few days passed in a blur of final fittings, family dinners, and late-night conversations about their future. Adam tried to ignore the small things. The way Lily sometimes stepped outside to take calls, speaking in a hushed voice. The way she seemed distracted during moments that should have been exciting. He told himself she was overwhelmed, like anyone would be. But then came the night, everything changed. It was 3 days before the wedding. Adam had stayed late at the office, finishing a presentation, and didn't get home until almost midnight. He was exhausted, his tie loose, his shoulders aching. The apartment was quiet when he unlocked the door. Lily had texted him earlier to say she was going to bed early, so he slipped his shoes off quietly, not wanting to wake her. He moved through the apartment, dropping his briefcase by the couch, loosening the remaining buttons on his shirt. As he passed the bedroom door, he noticed the faint glow of Lily's phone on the nightstand. She was curled on her side, asleep, her hair falling across her face. Adam bent down to kiss her cheek, but then the phone buzzed softly. He froze. He wasn't the type to snoop. He hated the idea of invading her privacy. But something about the message, the urgency of it, the way her phone vibrated twice in rapid succession, made him pause. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. He glanced at Lily. She didn't stir. The phone buzzed again. Adam reached for it. He told himself it was nothing, that it was probably a friend or a wedding vendor. But when the screen lit up, the name staring back at him was one he didn't recognize. Ryan. He hesitated, his pulse quickening. He shouldn't look. He knew he shouldn't. But his gut screamed at him. He opened the message. "I miss you." Wish it was me marrying you instead. Adam's breath caught. He stared at the words, his brain refusing to process them. He scrolled up. There were more messages. Dozens. Photos. Jokes he didn't understand. Plans to meet. Adam's hands shook as he read, the blood roaring in his ears. Each message felt like a blade, slicing deeper. I can't stop thinking about last night. He has no idea, does he? No. And he never will. Adam felt his stomach lurch. He set the phone down carefully, like it was something dangerous, and stumbled into the bathroom. He gripped the sink and stared at himself in the mirror. He looked the same as he had an hour ago, but everything inside him had changed. He wanted to wake her up, demand answers, scream until his voice was raw. But he didn't. Instead, he sat on the edge of the tub, numb, listening to the faint sound of Lily's breathing from the bedroom. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. His mind replayed every moment they'd shared over the past year, reframing them in light of this new truth. The late nights at work, the unexplained absences, the sudden flashes of irritation when he asked too many questions. It all made sense now. Adam stayed there for hours, staring at the floor, his body locked in place by grief. When the sun began to rise, he finally stood. He felt hollow, like a part of him had been scooped out. But beneath the devastation, something else was stirring. A spark. He wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. He needed to be sure. That day, Adam began gathering evidence. He felt like a stranger in his own home, forcing himself to act normal while his heart was breaking. He smiled when Lily walked into the room, kissed her cheek, told her how excited he was for the wedding. And all the while he was watching. He checked phone records when she wasn't looking, memorizing numbers he didn't recognize. He installed a hidden app on his phone that allowed him to access her text messages from a distance. Every discovery was worse than the last. There were pictures. There were dates and times. Proof of when they'd been together. There was even a message from Ryan suggesting she call off the wedding. Adam's hands clenched into fists when he read it. He wanted to storm into the living room, throw the phone at her feet, and tell her it was over. But then he thought of their families, of the guests flying in from across the country, the deposits they'd paid, the months they'd spent preparing for this day. And he thought of the way she smiled at him when she thought he didn't know. No. He wasn't going to let her win. Adam began to plan. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. He spent the next 2 days gathering everything he needed. Screenshots, voicemails, photos. He reached out to his best man, who was horrified but supportive. Together, they worked out the details. Adam felt like he was moving through a dream. He smiled when people asked about the wedding, shook hands, accepted congratulations. He even held Lily close when they went to dinner with her parents. But inside, he was ice. He watched her laugh across the table, wondering how she could look so calm, so utterly unbothered, knowing what she had done. That night, when they got home, she kissed him softly and told him she loved him. Adam kissed her back. And he thought of Ryan's words. He has no idea, does he? But Adam did have an idea. He had all of it. And when the wedding day arrived, she would finally understand what it felt like to be blindsided. Adam lay awake the night before the wedding, staring at the ceiling, his hands clasped tightly on his chest. He thought of the vows he had written, the ones he would never say. He thought of Lily, asleep beside him, oblivious to what was coming. And he thought of the look on her face when the truth finally came out. He didn't want to imagine it. He needed to see it. When the sun rose on the morning of the wedding, Adam was ready. Not to marry her, but to end it. On his terms. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Adam had thought grief was the hardest emotion a person could endure. But now, as he sat in his car outside his best man Mark's house with his hands gripping the steering wheel, he realized that grief had nothing on this, the cold, calculating determination that had settled in his chest like stone. He had replayed the messages over and over in his mind, hearing Ryan's voice in his head, seeing Lily's replies, remembering the photos he wished he could burn from memory. But now, instead of the hollow ache that had paralyzed him in the beginning, he felt sharp focus. He had a plan. The night air was cool when he stepped out of the car and rang Mark's doorbell. Mark opened the door quickly, pulling him inside. "Man, I still can't believe this," Mark said in a low voice as he closed the door. He rubbed his jaw and looked at Adam with the kind of sympathy that made Adam's stomach twist. "You're sure about this? You're really going to go through with it?" Adam nodded once. "I can't let her stand there and lie to me in front of everyone. I can't let her get away with this." Mark exhaled slowly. "Okay, so what's the plan?" Adam spread out his phone and a small stack of printed screenshots on Mark's dining table. "We make sure the evidence is ready and undeniable. The messages, the photos, everything. No one will be able to argue it's fake." Mark scanned the pages, his brow furrowed. "This is wow. There's no mistaking it. But Adam, you know this is going to blow up everything, right? Her family, your family, all those guests. You're going to humiliate her." "That's the point," Adam said quietly. Mark looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "All right. Whatever you need, I'm in." The next 2 days were a blur of silent strategy. Adam became two different people, the calm, affectionate fiancé Lily believed she was marrying, and the cold, relentless architect of her downfall. He smiled when she asked him how he was feeling about the wedding, kissed her cheek when she showed him her newly pressed veil, and nodded when she talked about the honeymoon she thought they'd be going on. But inside, he was seething. Every time she touched him, he saw Ryan's name flash in his mind. He had to fight the urge to pull away. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. At night, when she was asleep, Adam texted Mark with updates. They secured a projector and screen from the venue staff, making up an excuse about a special slideshow. Mark, along with Adam's sister Claire, would help set it up. They also made sure that the evidence files were duplicated and saved on multiple devices. If Lily or Ryan somehow got wind of what was coming and tried to destroy the evidence, it wouldn't matter. Claire was horrified when Adam told her the truth, but she didn't hesitate to help. "She's been like family to me," Claire said, tears in her eyes. "I can't believe she'd do this to you. Whatever you need, I'm with you."
Adam tanket her kuvvetli.
He wasn't interested in sympathy. He wanted results. There were moments when Adam wondered if Lily suspected anything. She had a way of watching him sometimes, her eyes narrowing slightly, as if she could sense a shift in him. But then she would smile and rest her head on his shoulder, and he would force himself to respond as though nothing had changed. One evening, as they sat at the kitchen table addressing final envelopes for thank you cards, Lily reached over and touched his hand. "You've been quiet lately," she said softly. "Are you nervous?" Adam met her gaze and gave her a small, reassuring smile. "Just tired," he said. She studied him for a moment longer, then leaned in to kiss him. Adam kissed her back, careful not to betray the revulsion curling in his stomach. "I can't wait to be your wife," she whispered. Adam swallowed hard. "Me too." But the words were empty now. The day before the wedding, Ryan showed up at the rehearsal dinner. Adam hadn't expected it. He watched from across the room as Ryan approached Lily, their conversation low and quick, their smiles just a little too careful. Adam clenched his fists under the table, forcing himself to stay seated. If he confronted him now, everything would unravel. Mark leaned over and murmured, "Is that him?" Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Adam nodded once. Ryan was handsome in a smug, careless way. He clapped Adam on the shoulder when they were introduced, acting as if nothing was wrong, as if he wasn't the man Adam had seen in photo after photo with Lily. "Congrats, man," Ryan said with a grin. "You're a lucky guy." Adam stared at him, dead-eyed. "Yeah," he said. "Lucky." When Ryan walked away, Mark muttered, "I don't know how you're not knocking his teeth out right now." "Because that's what he expects," Adam said quietly. "Tomorrow, he won't know what hit him." That night, Adam barely slept. He lay in the dark, listening to Lily's even breathing beside him. She looked peaceful, as if her world wasn't about to collapse. Adam stared at the ceiling and let the hatred simmer, not because it consumed him, but because it kept him steady. At dawn, he slipped out of bed and went to the living room. He double-checked the evidence one last time, sending it all to Mark and Claire again. He rehearsed his words silently, knowing he wouldn't need the vows he had written months ago. By the time Lily woke up, Adam was showered and dressed, sipping coffee at the table as if nothing was wrong. "Big day," she said with a smile, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Adam nodded, kissing her hand. "Yeah, big day." He felt her warmth against his back and wondered how he had ever believed she loved him. At the venue, Adam moved like a man in control. He shook hands, greeted relatives, thanked the vendors. Mark and Claire kept him updated on their progress with a projector and screen, sending discreet texts whenever Lily was out of sight. Ryan was there too, lingering near the bar with a group of mutual friends. Adam caught his eye once, and for a brief moment, something flickered across Ryan's face. Was it guilt or fear? Adam didn't care. As the clock ticked closer to the ceremony, the weight of what was about to happen pressed down on him. He felt every heartbeat in his throat, every muscle in his body taut with anticipation. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. But when Lily appeared in her dress, radiant and glowing, something inside him hardened. She looked like an angel, and he knew it was all a lie. Mark approached him quietly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We're set," he whispered. "Whenever you're ready, we can roll it."
Adam nodded slowly.
He turned to the mirror in the small dressing room, adjusting his tie. His reflection looked back at him with eyes he barely recognized, sharp, unflinching, resolved. By night, everyone would know who Lily really was. He straightened his suit jacket, squared his shoulders, and stepped out into the hall where the guests were gathering. The silence in the room was unbearable. Adam stood at the altar, microphone in hand, the faint hum of feedback filling the church as every single person waited for him to speak. He let the quiet stretch, his eyes locked on Lily's. Her bouquet trembled in her hands, knuckles white, lips slightly parted in confusion. She shifted her weight from one heel to the other, a nervous habit he'd once found endearing. Now it just reminded him how good she was at pretending. Adam exhaled slowly, forcing calm into his voice. "I was going to stand here and say my vows," he began, his words carrying clearly to every corner of the room, "but I can't do that. Not in good conscience." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Guests exchanged puzzled glances, leaning in to whisper. Lily's mother frowned, tilting her head. Adam didn't look away from Lily. "I've spent the last year believing that the woman standing across from me was the love of my life. I believed she was honest, faithful, and that the vows we'd make today would mean something. But 3 days ago, I found out I was wrong." Lily's face drained of color. "Adam," she whispered, her voice shaking. He raised a hand, silencing her. "Please. You've had plenty of chances to tell me the truth, and you didn't. So now I will." Gasps spread through the congregation. Adam reached into the inside pocket of his suit jacket and pulled out a small remote. He pressed a button, and the screen behind them flickered to life. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The first image appeared, a screenshot of Lily's text messages. "I miss you. Wish it was me marrying you instead." The words were projected in large letters for everyone to see. A collective intake of breath swept through the room. Lily's hand flew to her mouth. Adam's voice was steady as he narrated. "This is a message I found on Lily's phone. It was sent by Ryan, the man she's been sleeping with behind my back." Heads turned instinctively toward the groom's side of the aisle, where Ryan sat stiffly in his chair. His face was pale, his jaw tight, but he didn't move. Adam clicked again. Another screenshot appeared. Lily's reply. "Don't worry. He'll never know. I can't wait to see you tonight." A sharp gasp from the crowd this time, louder, punctuated by whispered disbelief. Lily stumbled forward, shaking her head violently. "Stop it. Adam, please." He ignored her. "There's more." The next image filled the screen, a photo of Lily and Ryan together in a hotel room, laughing into the camera, his arm wrapped around her waist. The room erupted in a chorus of shocked cries. Someone shouted, "Oh my God." Another voice muttered, "This can't be real." Lily turned to Adam, tears streaming down her face. "This is out of context. It's not what you think." Adam's gaze was like steel. "Then maybe we should let everyone hear what you told him." He pressed another button. A recording began to play through the church's sound system. Lily's voice, unmistakable, soft and intimate.
He's so clueless, Ryan.
"I almost feel bad. But after the honeymoon, I'll figure out a way to leave him. We'll be together soon, I promise." The sound of her voice echoed through the church, filling the cavernous space with betrayal. Lily's knees buckled. No, please," she whispered. "Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button." Her father stood abruptly, his face red. "Lily, what the hell is this?" Her mother was crying quietly, staring at her daughter in disbelief. Adam took a step back, still holding the microphone, his voice clear but calm. "This is the woman I was supposed to marry today. This is the woman who looked me in the eyes this morning and told me she loved me. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button." Lily reached for him, desperate, but he stepped away. "Adam, I swear, I can explain." "You've explained enough," he said coldly. He turned to face the guests, his expression resolute. "I won't marry someone who's been betraying me for months. I won't marry someone who could stand here, smile at me, and lie to my face." The whispers grew louder, spiraling into a roar of conversation. Some guests stared at Lily with open disgust. Others looked away, embarrassed to witness her humiliation. Ryan finally stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Adam, this isn't the time or place." Adam's gaze snapped to him, sharp as a blade. "You don't get to tell me when or where, Ryan. You've had no problem sneaking around with my fiancé behind my back. Now, everyone knows who you are too." Ryan's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Adam didn't wait for a response. He turned back to Lily one last time. "I loved you," he said quietly, and for a fleeting moment, the pain in his voice cracked through the composure. "I would have given you everything, and you threw it away." Lily reached for him again, sobbing now, but he stepped back.
"No."
"This is where it ends." He handed the microphone to the pastor, who looked too stunned to move, and walked slowly down the aisle. The guests parted like the Red Sea, silent now, their eyes following him as he moved toward the heavy wooden doors at the back of the church. Lily collapsed against the altar, shaking, her veil crumpled around her shoulders. Her mother knelt beside her, but Lily pushed her away, burying her face in her hands. Ryan remained frozen, his fists clenched, his face dark with anger and humiliation. Adam reached the doors and paused for just a moment. He could feel every gaze burning into his back, could hear Lily's muffled sobs echoing behind him. He straightened his shoulders, opened the doors, and stepped out into the sunlight. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. The air outside was crisp and cool, a sharp contrast to the suffocating tension of the church. Adam took a deep breath, the first one that felt real in days. Behind him, the guests began to spill out, their voices rising in a storm of questions and disbelief. But Adam didn't look back. He walked steadily down the steps, his suit immaculate, his head held high. By the time the doors closed behind him, the whispers were deafening. And Lily was alone. Adam kept walking long after the church doors had closed behind him. He didn't look back. The chill in the air felt sharper than it had that morning, but he welcomed it. It cleared his head. Each step away from the venue, from Lily, from everything they had built together, felt like a release. When he reached the end of the cobblestone path, he stopped and exhaled, leaning on the iron gate at the edge of the grounds. His hands trembled slightly, the adrenaline still coursing through him. He realized his heart was pounding, not from fear now, but from relief. He had done it. The whispers of the guests, the gasps, Lily's sobs, they were all behind him now. He'd left her standing there in front of everyone, stripped of her lies, stripped of the mask she'd worn so well. For a moment, the weight of it all pressed on him. He had destroyed their wedding in the most public way possible. He had shattered her reputation, her future with Ryan, her carefully constructed facade. But then he reminded himself why he'd done it, not for revenge alone, but because he couldn't live a lie. Mark appeared beside him suddenly, slightly out of breath from catching up. He didn't say anything at first. He just placed a hand on Adam's shoulder and stood there quietly. "You okay?" Mark finally asked. Adam nodded slowly, though his throat felt tight. "Yeah," he said. "I think I am." Mark gave him a small, steady smile. "You handled that better than anyone else could have. You kept your head. You didn't let her or that guy see you break. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button." Adam looked down at the ground, his hands curling loosely at his sides. "I wanted to," he admitted. "God, I wanted to lose it. But if I had, she would have walked away from this thinking she'd won somehow. That's not happening." Mark nodded, glancing back toward the church. "It's chaos in there. Her dad nearly threw Ryan out. People are leaving in droves. I don't think she's going to recover from this anytime soon." Adam didn't answer right away. He didn't know if he wanted to picture it, the look on her face as her world collapsed. He didn't need to anymore. "Where's Claire?" he asked instead. "She's talking to your parents," Mark said. "They're proud of you, man." "Shocked but proud. You should go talk to them."
Adam hesitated.
"I'm not sure I'm ready to face everyone yet." Mark squeezed his shoulder. "You don't have to say much. Just let them see you're okay. That's all they'll want." Adam nodded again and followed Mark back up the path, though he stopped short of going inside the church. Guests were streaming out, their voices low and urgent as they whispered to each other. Some of them glanced at him as they passed, their expressions a mix of sympathy and disbelief. Claire was waiting near the entrance, her eyes red but determined. She wrapped her arms around him tightly as soon as she saw him. "I'm so sorry you had to go through this," she whispered. Adam hugged her back. "I'm okay," he said softly. "Really?" She pulled back and searched his face. "You don't have to pretend with me. I know this hurts." "It does," he admitted, "but not the way it did when I first found out. Now it just feels done. Like I've closed the door on it." Claire nodded, wiping at her eyes.
"Good.
You deserve better than her. So much better. Don't forget to like and drop comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button." Inside the church, Lily was surrounded by her parents, both of whom were speaking to her in hushed but furious tones. Adam didn't go near them. He could hear enough from where he stood. "How could you do this to him?" "To us?" her father hissed, his voice shaking with rage. "Do you have any idea how humiliated we are?" "Dad, please. Don't you dare cry now," her mother cut in sharply. "You've embarrassed everyone. This isn't something you can just explain away." Lily buried her face in her hands, sobbing. Ryan stood a few feet away, his jaw tight, arms crossed defensively. When Lily turned toward him, pleading, he stepped back. "Don't look at me," Ryan said coldly. "I'm not going down with you. This was your mess." Lily stared at him, stunned. "You told me." "I told you a lot of things," he said, cutting her off. "We're done. Don't call me." He walked out of the church without looking back. Adam watched it all unfold from a distance, his expression unreadable. He didn't feel satisfaction exactly, but he felt closure. Later, Adam left the venue with Mark and Claire. They offered to drive him home, but he declined. He wanted to walk. As he moved through the quiet streets, the enormity of what had happened began to settle in. His phone buzzed with messages from friends and family, some offering comfort, others simply asking if he was okay. He answered a few, thanking them, but mostly he reached his apartment and let himself in, the space feeling unfamiliar after everything. He hung up his suit jacket and loosened his tie, sinking onto the couch. For the first time in weeks, the apartment felt like it belonged to him again. He thought of Lily's belongings scattered through the rooms, her clothes in the closet, her toothbrush in the bathroom. He'd pack them up soon. He didn't want any trace of her left here. But not tonight. Tonight, he just wanted to sit and breathe. In the days that followed, news of the wedding spread quickly. Adam heard from mutual friends that Lily had moved back in with her parents. She'd been fired from her job after taking an unapproved leave of absence for the wedding. Ryan had completely disappeared, refusing to answer her calls. People talked, of course. Social media was merciless, with whispers of what had happened at the church circulating like wildfire. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Adam didn't engage. He didn't post anything, didn't respond to speculation. He simply lived. Mark and Claire checked in often, inviting him to dinner, making sure he wasn't isolating himself. His parents came by too, telling him how proud they were of how he'd handled everything. "You didn't lose control," his father said one night over dinner. "You told the truth, and you walked away with dignity. That's something to be proud of."
Adam müddet kuyetli.
"I didn't feel proud at the time. I just couldn't let her keep lying to me." "That's not weakness," his mother said firmly. "That's strength." A week after the wedding, Adam returned to the church. It was empty now, the flowers gone, the decorations packed away. He stood at the altar where he had once imagined a different future and felt nothing. It was over. He walked outside and stood in the sunlight, closing his eyes. Lily's betrayal didn't define him. He could see that now. It was something that had happened to him, but it wasn't who he was. He was stronger than he had been a month ago, wiser than he had been a year ago. He knew now what he deserved, and he would never settle for less again. Adam pulled out his phone and scrolled through his messages. There were dozens waiting, people checking in, friends asking if he wanted to grab coffee or catch a game. For the first time, he felt ready to say yes. He sent a quick message to Mark. "Thanks for everything. Dinner tonight? My treat." Mark replied almost immediately. "Wouldn't miss it."
Proud of you, man.
Adam slipped the phone back into his pocket and started walking, each step lighter than the last. He didn't know what the future held, and for once, he was okay with that. He wasn't thinking about Lily anymore. He wasn't thinking about the wedding that never was. He was thinking about tomorrow. The sky above him was a bright, endless blue, and as Adam walked forward, he felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. And he knew, deep in his bones, that he was free. Hey besties, thanks so much for sticking around till the end. If you felt something, learned something, or just enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and hit that subscribe button.